Democrats finally call in the big guns to fight against Doge. We got Big Bird and Elmo and Count Dracula protesting near NPR. Shout out to everybody watching. Drop your comments down below. Smash the like button.
But I'm going to say public media is the best. Save NPR.
Save PBS!
Public media
Is the best!
Save NPR.
Save PBS!
As you can see, there was a slew of protesters, at least one or two of them protesting near the NPR studios. Like I said, Democrats called in the big guns with Big Bird and Count Dracula.
Most of the publicity has been on the spending cuts. And look, I'm all for them. I think Elon Musk is a rock star. The tofu crowd is mad. But, you know, when you trim fat, pigs squeal. That's just the way the world works. That's the law of nature.
Several people, I'm talking about 2 or 3 people or maybe even more, rallied near National Public Radio NPR headquarters in Washington, D.C. on Thursday as the media organization continues to face threats of defunding from several political lawmakers.
Bringing about. How are they feeling about
Yeah, this to me was one of the more shocking figures that I saw. Made me go, wait a minute, hold on one second. Whoa, Americans on Trump and Joe's efforts. Musk and Doge should influence government spending and operations. Look at this, 54%. The majority say that he and they should. How about approve of Trump trying to cut staff at government agencies? Again, you get a majority here, 51%. So yeah, Elon Musk might not be that popular, but these cuts and the idea of spending cuts, at least within the federal government and cutting at government agencies, that actually has majority support. Democrats want to argue that the type of spending that Musk is cutting is mainly necessary programs, but that comes in at just 36%. The wasteful spending actually wins the plurality here at 42%, according to a recent Washington Post Ipsos poll. And I think that is the reason why you see that when it comes to Musk and Doge, you see, in fact, the majority believe he should have some influence because they believe, the plurality believe, that he is cutting wasteful spending.
They said, "Hey, we got to bring in the big people. We got to bring in the big guys,
big balls?"
The guys from Sesame Street." The rally outside of NPR headquarters comes as part to protect My Public Media Day. Look at the slew of protesters there, guys. There's just so many. I can hardly count them with 2 fingers. The National Day of Action to defend public broadcast from escalating threats of the defunding that particular organization. Several organizations, including Our Revolution and ACLU and Free Press, stood to protest. The Dems are bringing in the heat, guys. You better watch out. This professor went on MSDNC and said that the cuts that Doge are doing are racist. Everything is racist with them, guys.
It's an attack on government, but it's also an attack on this government. What I mean by that is it's an attack on this government that used to be headed by a black man. It's an attack on this government that almost elected a black woman to the highest office in the land. It's an attack on a government that has been more welcoming and more supportive of people who have come to this country in search for a better life.
First off, they didn't almost elect a black woman. We have openly discussed on this channel that that particular woman that he's speaking of is not black. Not that that matters, but she is not black, hombre. And if you guys remember correctly, in the past, Democrats were all about cutting government waste, fraud, and abuse.
What should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody. Waste we should be getting rid of, even if we didn't have a deficit. Did you know the federal government pays for a website devoted to a folk music ensemble made up of forest rangers? They're called the Fiddlin' Foresters. I'll put their music on my iPod, but I'm not paying for their website.
Obama even appointed his own Doge czar.
Starting today, I've asked the vice president to lead a renewed effort to hunt down misspent tax dollars in every agency and department of this government. We're calling it the Campaign to Cut Waste, and I know Joe's the right man to lead it. because nobody messes with Joe.
We're not just eliminating fraud and waste. We hope to be instilling an entire new culture that not only our administration, but every succeeding administration will in fact pursue.
Huh. But a few years later, when Joe was sitting in the Oval, he didn't cut fraud, waste, and abuse. He multiplied it. Biden's Inflation Reduction Act was a Trojan horse for the Green New scam.
And it also was an opportunity for Hunter to sell millions and millions of dollars worth of paintings. Coincidentally enough, he just came out and said that he was absolutely broke. He doesn't have enough money to pay for legal fees because Daddy's no longer in office.
He just asked a judge to toss a laptop lawsuit because he's millions in debt and can't afford his lawyers.
His daddy ain't in office anymore. So therefore, foreign individuals are no longer purchasing your paintings for millions and millions of dollars. So this is why Hunter Biden has no moolah. And you would think that an academic scholar like Hunter Biden would presumably know how to get a job. He has tons of experience with overseas accounts and also working with other foreign leaders.
Basically, the government-funded NGOs are a way to do things that would be illegal if they were the government, but are somehow made legal if it's sent to a so-called nonprofit. But these nonprofits are then used to, people cash out these nonprofits. They become very wealthy through nonprofits. They pay themselves enormous sums through these nonprofits.
And how many NGOs?
I think there's a total number of NGOs, probably millions, but in terms of large NGOs, tens of thousands.
Mr. President, is that a reflection that you think Doge and Elon Musk have been moving too quickly?
No, I think they've done an amazing job. They've done an amazing job, and look at what they found. I read it the other night in the speech. I mean, they found these things where billions of dollars has been poured down the drain to things. That's not about people, that's about contracts where billions and billions of dollars was just thrown out the window.
Democrat protesters gather at Doge's quote-unquote ground zero to protest spending cuts. Democrat lawmakers joined protesters outside what they described as ground zero for the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, to oppose recent spending cuts by newly formed cost-cutting department. Protesters, some of whom were laid off from their federal jobs during the Doge cuts, gathered outside the office to protest. They're upset. They are absolutely upset because, hey, you had a cushy job for 4 years. You didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to respond to emails. You worked from home. You worked from Tulum, wherever you worked from. And now you're upset because you got to respond to an email that asked you what you did last week, and you don't have the testicular fortitude or the know-how to even lie on an email to send it to somebody and say, hey, this is what I did. It was simply just a pulse check, and you're getting upset because you no longer have a cushy job that you actually didn't do anything. Let's jump into this video.
Worked here. I dedicated over 16 years of federal work in this place. And I was part of an entire office that was dismantled. The work completely came to a stall. I was a project manager of a program that would provide...
Let me guess. You were a project manager of a program that provided basket weaving and toenail clippings to transgender kangaroos.
The connection for program offices and the procurement individuals to receive their acquisition packages. Build that program from the ground up. I was also an acquisition career manager where I would ensure that the people doing the work, obligating the government, have their proper certifications.
So basically you did nothing.
Quickly, do you think we ought to be sending government checks to dead people?
No, Senator, I think that's poor management.
During the pandemic, we sent out $1.4 billion of checks to dead people, didn't we?
I don't have the figure, Senator, but I wouldn't be surprised by that, given everything.
And they were cashed, weren't they?
They generally get cash whether they're dead or not.
What does that tell you?
Somebody's live.
Yep.
Now, Senator Carper and I passed a bill. It took us 2 years. To try to stop that, when you die, the state sends your name to the Social Security Administration. Your name goes on what's called the Death Master File.
Yes, sir.
I went to Social Security and I said, can I see the list? They said, sure. I said, who do you share this with? They said, nobody. We can't. We don't have statutory authority. So you don't share it with the do not pay folks at Treasury? They said, nope. It's against the law. Well, rather than argue with them, Senator Carper and I passed a bill. But believe it or not, to say Social Security, share the dead people list with the rest of government, for God's sakes. Put down the bong and share it with them. And believe it or not, we had opposition. So we had to agree to a 3-year trial period. That 3-year trial, we've saved a bunch of money. That 3-year trial period is up at the end of 2026. I've got another bill with Gary Peters to extend it, to make it permanent. You guys got any problem with that?
Well, Senator, I cannot speak for the president or for Director Vogt.
Oh, go ahead.
But I can't. It's hard for me to imagine who would be opposed.
Well, you'd be surprised.
Democrats called in the big guns. They said Big Bird, Burton, Ernie, Count Chocula, Count Dracula, Elmo. Let's bring in the big guns so we can protest against Doge. And they continue to humiliate themselves. They cut your slush fund. They cut your cushy job. And that is why you're upset. This is waste, fraud, and abuse, and it's unnecessary. If you really cared about America, you would be happy about what Doge is doing. Any Democrat who says that they are upset of these particular cuts, you have lost your freaking mind. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button on your way out if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I will catch you on the next one.